Today we'll be turning this into this, a futuristic cyberpunk-esque composition. Today we'll be working in Photoshop 2024. If you don't have Photoshop, click on the link in the description and you'll get a 30-day free trial. But before we dive in, let me tell you about our sponsor, Envato. Envato provides a massive collection of creative assets all in one place. No need to juggle multiple platforms. With millions of high-quality assets updated daily, everything you need is right here. Their simple subscription plan offers unlimited downloads with lifetime commercial licenses. With assets from a global community of artists, Envato ensures unique and authentic resources that give your projects a creative edge. Use the link in the description to get 30% off all plans. So with that, let's get started. So first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Go up to Window, Workspace, Essentials, and once you've clicked that, go back to Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. Now we want a little bit more room to work with our layers, so I'm going to click and drag the Layers panel right here, and we've got plenty of room to work with. And just a reminder, there is no pressure to try and keep up. If you need a little bit more time, feel free to pause, rewind, and use the chapters in the description. So the first thing we need to do is select our subject and mask out the background. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. We have Select Subject and Remove Background tools available to us right here. I'm going to hit Select Subject, and you can see that's done a pretty good job. There's just a few little bits and pieces that haven't been selected here. So I'm actually going to go up to my object selection tool, also hit W on the keyboard, and I'm going to hold Shift, and that's going to add to my current selection, and I'm going to click. That gives us a pretty good starting point. So I'm going to go down to our Layers panel and hit Layer Mask. Next, we want to drop in our background, so we'll go to File, Place Embed, drop in our background, hit OK, and then we'll move that below our subject layer. Okay, so next we want to create that round neon light. So I'm going to go over to my ellipse tool, and we're going to go up to Fill and make sure that that is set to no color. Go to Stroke, make that white, or you can click on the color picker, go all the way up to the top left, click OK. And then as far as the actual size of the stroke goes, this is going to depend on the resolution of your image. I have a fairly high resolution image here. It's 8,248 pixels by 4640. So 50 pixels is going to be appropriate for me. It might not be for you. You're just going to have to play around with it. Then I'm going to click and drag kind of an oval shape like that. And I'm going to make sure it's on top of our subject layer. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to hit V on the keyboard so I can click and kind of drag it around a little bit. Hit Command or Control T to transform. And the idea is I want it to kind of go through this space between the sword and my shoulder, and then come around the other side and then up through. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Enter on my keypad. Next, we need to add the glow. So we're going to go over here to the side of this layer, double click, and it's going to show a lot of different layer styles. And the two that we want is inner glow and outer glow. Now, if you don't see them here, you're going to go down here to FX, click, and then select them, and then they'll appear here. So first, let's start with inner glow. And we're going to go down to quality, and we're going to make sure that this contour is selected. That's just going to give us a nicer roll off. And then as far as color goes, that's pretty much what I want to go for, is that kind of light blue color. The hex code is 00B4FF. If you want to make it exactly like mine, we'll hit OK. And the idea is you want the center to be a little bit white. So kind of a neon kind of thing going on. So actually 28 looks pretty good in this case. And then we're going to go to outer glow. And these are my settings. Blend mode is normal, opacity 100%. Again, exact same blue color. The size, you can make it as big or as small as you like. I think about 150 looks pretty good. Everything else is default. So we're going to hit OK. Now the next issue is we want it to wrap underneath the sword. So to do that, first we're going to right click on our ellipse, hit rasterize layer style. That's going to merge the layer styles that glow with our ellipse. And then we're going to Command or Control click on the layer mask for our subject. Hit M on the keyboard, which is going to select our marquee tool. And we're doing that because it's going to give us different options. Right click, select inverse, and then we're going to hit our mask button. All right, so now we've masked out our subject on the ellipse. So now we need to bring that ellipse back in front of our subject. So we're going to hit B on the keyboard for a brush, make it quite a bit bigger. And with white as our foreground color, we're just going to paint that back in. And make sure you get all of that glow. Nice. So next we need to add some reactive lighting. Now what that means is if this were a real light, it would be showing up in the highlights of these buttons. It would be showing up in the glasses, bouncing off different parts of my shirt. But we're not going to go quite that crazy today. We're just going to do a few basic things. So we're going to create a new layer and we're going to rename it reactive lighting top. We're going to click and change our blending mode to screen. And then up here in our brush options, we're going to make sure that our hardness is set to 0. And flow, we're going to make 50. We're going to go to our subject layer again. We're going to Command or Control click the mask to make a selection. And this way, when we paint some of that reactive lighting in, it's not going to spill onto the background. So now with reactive lighting top selected, we're just going to do a little bit right on the edge wherever we think there would be some light bouncing on. And then for the front of the jacket, I do want some there, but I want to turn my opacity down to maybe 25% so it's not nearly as intense. And we're going to make the brush a lot bigger and just do a couple clicks here and there. That looks pretty good. Maybe there's a little bit of glow like underneath the chin. Maybe right there behind the head. Right in here. Maybe a little bit on the face. But we will definitely come back to that. All right, that's looking pretty good. Next, we want a little bit of glow behind the head and the sword where the light is passing by. So now we're going to create a new layer and we're going to match those settings. We're going to go screen, 25% opacity, 50% flow, same color. And this one's going to be named reactive lighting back. And we're going to drop that behind our subject. And for this one, we don't need that selection. So hit Command or Control D to deselect. And we're just going to do a couple hits here and here. And maybe we outline the whole head a little bit just to make it pop. Just give it a little bit of a glow. Yeah, that's looking nice. We're going to drop the size of our brush a little bit, make it bigger, do a little bit more of a pop right there. Maybe a little glow on the shoulder. Let's bump the opacity up to 100%. And I just want a little bit more of a pop right here. All right, now we need to kind of blend our subject with the background a little bit better. So to do that, we're going to go down to this button. This is our adjustment layers, and we're going to select color balance. And we're going to drag that right on top of our subject. And then under properties, you're going to see this button here. This is going to clip those adjustments to the layer that's just below it. So we're going to click that. So we're only making adjustments to our subject. Now we're going to go to Tone, Shadows, and we want our shadows to be really blue. So we're going to bring that up just a little bit, maybe add a little cyan. And then we're going to go to Tone, Highlights, and we want those to be kind of pink. So maybe we'll add some magenta, maybe a little red. Okay, so that's starting to look pretty good. Now our subject to begin with needs a few adjustments. It needs to be a little bit brighter, maybe add some sharpness, some more contrast. So we're going to select the layer, go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and we're just going to start with auto settings and see what that does. So that brightens it up considerably. maybe a little bit too much. We're going to bring that exposure down just a skosh. And then we're going to go to effects. We're going to up our clarity and our dehaze just a little bit. We're going to go to detail and bring the sharpening all the way up to 50 and hit OK. Now for some more reactive lighting, we want to put the neon light in the reflection of the glasses. So to do that, we are going to go to our ellipse, our neon light. We're going to duplicate that, and then we're going to hit V on the keyboard for our move tool, and we're going to move it up right about there. Now we're going to zoom in, and we're going to use the pen tool again, and we're just going to trace the outline of the lenses in the glasses there. You can also mask this out with your brush tool. There's no need necessarily to use the pen tool, but I find sometimes it's just easier to get those real fine edges. All right, and then right click, make selection, hit OK, then hit M on the keyboard, right click, invert selection, and then we're going to hit delete on the keyboard. Now we want that to look a little more diffracted, so we're going to click on the layer itself, go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're just going to blur it just a tiny, tiny bit. 7.2 for me looks good, hit OK, and then we're going to decrease the fill a little bit, because it's not going to be quite as bright in the glasses. So even though the background colors are pretty poppy, I think we need a little more contrast. So we're going to go to our adjustment layers again, and we're going to go to hue saturation this time, put that at the very top, and we're going to bump up our saturation on everything. That looks pretty good. Next, we want to add some depth to our image. So we're going to select our background, go to filter, blur gallery, field blur, and this is going to allow us to blur different parts of the image different amounts. So we're going to click on our little blur wheel here, put it right where that car's at. That's about as blurry as this whole thing should get. And then we're going to adjust the blur using this wheel. We're going to bump it up to, say, 50, see what that looks like. We're going to leave it there for now. I think that might be a little bit too much. But then we're going to click here where it's going to be significantly less. And we'll say 10. That looks pretty good. And over here, it's also going to be about 10. And yeah, let's click on that back one. Let's drop that to 30, see what that looks like. Maybe we split the difference at 25. And let's make this a little bit blurrier here. That looks pretty good. Up at the top, hit OK. And then last but not least, I want to add a little bit of blue bloom to the lights, to the colors here. So to do that, we're going to go to Adjustments, Solid Color. We're going to make it the exact same color as our neon light. Hit OK. Drag that up to the top of our layers. Go to our blending options. Scroll down to Soft Light. And that's a little bit too much, so we're going to adjust our fill. And we're going to drop it down to about 25. That's without it. That's with it. So depending on what kind of look you're going for, there's no wrong answers. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like my neon outline tutorial, or for a more well-rounded education in Photoshop, check out my video, Every Tool in the Toolbar Explained.